Hey guys, it's Victoria. Welcome to a video where I will be recommending 5 books you must read, classical literature edition, beginner friendly. Around a year ago, I made a very similar video where I talked about books like Northanger Abbey, Crime and Punishment, The Metamorphosis, and more. If you want to check that out, I will link the video at the top of this one and in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to get notified about upcoming content. Make sure you check out my Instagram as well if you want to keep up with what I do on a day-to-day basis. In this video, for each book recommendation, I will give the title, the author, the genre, a basic synopsis, maybe read the back of the book, and also talk about general themes. Don't worry, there will be no spoilers in this book recommendation video. Also, I would just like to note that throughout this video, I do give some of my own personal opinions and thoughts on each of these books, so take all of those with a grain of salt because they are, after all, based on my own personal experience, likes and dislikes. The first book recommendation that I have for you guys is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is one of my favorite novels. It is a gothic fiction. It's philosophical, psychological, kind of angsty as well, which I really love. The story is about Dorian Gray, who is a wealthy young Englishman during the Victorian era. The story revolves around this portrait of Dorian, which was painted by his friend, who is an artist, and also someone who is infatuated with Dorian's beauty. There is something written on the back of this book, so let me read it to you guys. The beautiful Dorian Gray trades mortality and virtue for an immortal life of corruption. Goaded by a bored aristocrat and infatuated artists, he embraces a life of cruelty, sensual delights, and unmentionable vices. Very intriguing. I really recommend this novel. I feel like the story is super captivating and it's also quite short, and if you're into the philosophical and psychological novels, then this one is for you. The next book that I would like to recommend to you guys is The Little Prince, or in French, Le Petit Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, and I hope I didn't butcher that. But this is one of my favorite books of all time. It's actually such a cute story. It is a science fantasy coming of age novella, so it's quite short, and there's no Old English vocabulary used in this novel. It's a much simpler read in my opinion, and the story really moves along. It's about a pilot whose plane breaks down in the Sahara Desert, and there he meets the Little Prince, who has come to Earth to find a friend. The Little Prince tells stories of his travels to different planets, and I honestly think this story is super meaningful and it gets me emotional every time I read it. There are themes of loneliness, friendship, love, and loss, and it's honestly such a poetic book. Next up, we have Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and don't be intimidated by how thick this looks, although I will say I do think that this is a beginner/intermediate classic. This book is a gothic fiction and also romance novel. Set in the Victorian era, Jane was orphaned and went through many serious torments. But the story is about how, despite all of that, Jane refused to give in to societal expectations and went on to pursue individuality, equality, and self-fulfillment. I do like the story, but I will say personally, it did take me a bit to actually get into it, but I persevered. The next book that I will be recommending is Animal Farm by George Orwell. This is a novella, so it's quite short. It is a dystopian fiction, allegory, satire type of story. It's basically about a group of anthropomorphic farm animals who rebel against their human farmer in hopes of creating a society where animals can all be equal and happy and free. There is some information on the back of this book, so let me read it to you guys. First, there's a quote from the story. "All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Mr. Jones of Manor Farm is so lazy and drunken that one day he forgets to feed his livestock. The ensuing rebellion under the leadership of the pigs Napoleon and Snowball leads to the animals taking over the farm. Vowing to eliminate the terrible inequities of the farmyard, the renamed Animal Farm is organized to benefit all who walk on 4 legs. But as time passes, the ideals of the rebellion are corrupted, then forgotten, and something new and unexpected emerges." Also guys, the last line of this book always gives me shivers. Like, I don't know, is that cringy? But like, it does. Totally recommend. Last but not least, we have Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. This story is a historical romance, and it's about the Dashwood sisters, who were a part of a wealthy English family when they suddenly became destitute. They're young, they're looking to marry, but in a society where love is governed by money and status, the 2 sisters must learn to balance sense and sensibility to find their own personal happiness. There's a couple lines on the back of this book, so let's read it. "It is not time or opportunity that is to determine intimacy. It is disposition alone. 7 years would be insufficient to make some people acquainted with each other, and 7 days are more than enough for others. I totally recommend this book. Anything written by Jane Austen, I have in my heart. Do beware of a lot of Old English vocabulary, as expected with Jane Austen novels. So yeah, those are the 5 books I think you must read, classical literature edition, beginner friendly. If you end up reading any of these books from this book recommendation video, leave a comment below on your thoughts. Also, let me know if you guys would like to see more videos like this. I had a lot of fun filming this one. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!